All right, I'm excited because we've got the market data in through the end of October 2023. If you're a real estate professional and you're wanting to know what are the talking points I should be discussing with my clients, here are the top 3 things we are talking about in today's market. Number 1, inventory is flat month over month. Number 2, supply is actually still very, very low. And number 3, sales, both sold and pending, are down year over year. So if you want to know more about that, watch the rest of this video. All right, so let's get into it. The first thing we talked about was inventory is flat month over month. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit on this data. This red line, for a reminder, is showing you the active listings. And it's actually relative to the solds and pendings for the month. So the first thing we talked about is inventory is flat month over month. We ended September with 902 active listings, and we've ended October with 897 active listings. So essentially, we haven't really changed at all in regard to that. Even though we've seen demand go down a little bit. The closed units was 400 in October. In September, we had 457. Pending units in October is 393. In September, we had 445. And for those of you wanting to see this data, if you ever need this data, all you need to do is reach out to us, your favorite, Livian Select or City of Trees agent. We'd be happy to share it with you guys. We have this broken down actually for each county, and we even have it broken down by existing and new. And we share this information with a lot of builders that we work with and other developers and clients who like to look at this data and make decisions based on that. So if that meets your needs, then reach out. We'd love to help you out. So the second thing we talked about was sales being down. I guess that was the third thing. You can see year over year, we're down. Gosh, it looks like, we went from 900 sold and pending, now we're sitting at just under 800 sold and pending. That's a rough, let's just do, I think it's 12.5%. Let's see here, 900. Yeah, it's about 12.5% down year over year. Surprisingly, in Ada County as a whole, we're actually down more than that when you look at all of the existing home sales. We've got 5,290 year over year year to date for the year 2023. I looked this up for the same exact time frame, so the first 10 months of 2022, and we had 6,894. And again, this is resale only. This does not include new construction. So that's down about 24% year over year. So bottom line is, with rates being higher, less people are choosing to transact. And that's an interesting thing, because I'm sure if you're a buyer or a seller, you might be thinking like, well, should I want to be a buyer or seller? Well, let's talk about why you might want to be a seller. The supply still being low. I'm going to zoom in on this number here right now, but the months of inventory in Ada County for existing homes is 2. And a reminder, I say this almost every month, but a balanced market is between 5 and 7 months of supply. If you have more than 7 months supply, that ends up being a buyer's market, because there's more homes than there are buyers. And so those buyers actually get to choose and they get to negotiate. Now, if it's under 5 months supply, it's considered a seller's market. That means there's more buyers than there are sellers. And of course, the sellers get to kind of have their way. They get to negotiate. This market's a little bit unique. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you guys are considering selling. Why would you want to sell in today's market? Well, the first reason is because supply is very low. I think if and when rates go down in the future, that could be 6 months, could be 2 years. We don't really know. But if those rates come down, what I think happens is demand actually goes up. But a lot of that demand is going to be people who need to sell their home. We have so many people sitting on the sidelines right now that are sellers that have maybe a 3 or 4 or 5% interest rate, and they don't want to get a 7 or 7.5% interest rate. So they're just, even though they need to move and they want to move, they're just choosing to hold off as long as they possibly can. So I do think as the rates come down, you're going to see prices go up. So you might be able to get more money, but you're also going to see your competition in terms of inventory start to rise a little bit as well. So that's something to consider. Right now, it might take you a little bit longer to sell your home. And let's be real. The cumulative days on market over the last 12 months is 39. So we're not talking, 6 months of selling your home. I remember when I was selling, 2011, 12, 13, like the average days on market was 150 in some cases, 180. We were preparing our sellers to be on the market for 6 to 12 months. And then you go back 2 or 3 years ago in 2020, 2021, we were preparing our sellers to sell in a weekend and with multiple offers. So it's kind of I don't even want to say it's in between. It's still so much closer to what it was a few years ago than what it was 10 years ago. So that's why you might consider to sell right now. The other reason is, even though you might have to negotiate a little bit as a seller, you're going to be able to negotiate as a buyer too. So the market you sell in, as long as you're buying in the same market, you're getting the same benefits or downsides. So let me give you an example. Let's say if you sell your home and it's listed at $500,000, and you need to give a 5% concession. Maybe you're paying closing costs and you got to fix some repairs or something. That's $25,000. But if you're buying in the same market, you can probably get a similar type of negotiation on the buy side. So it oftentimes ends up being a wash. And same with if you're like, let's use the same logic with, well, what if my price goes up? So Chase is only worth 500 grand today, but if I waited 2 years, maybe it's worth 600 grand. The first thing is maybe. The second thing is, let's say you're right and you lost $100,000 of equity. Well, the home you're buying today, if your home went up in 2 years, wouldn't that home go up too? And oftentimes the amount of money you made is, basically a wash because you had to spend it on the new home anyways. So those are things to consider. Let's flip over to the buyer side, right? Chase rates are at 7, 7.25, 7.5, whatever they're at the time I'm watching this video. Why would I want to buy in today's market? Well, I think it's very, very, very much a consensus that if rates come down, and you got to realize there's a lot of people who want to buy homes today that have not because rates went up. And a lot of those people stopped their buying process back in, late 2021 when rates were hitting 5.5. So if that's the case, or late 2022, excuse me. I mean, I think rates hit 7 actually at the end of 2022. But these people have been on the sidelines for 15, 18, 24 months. If rates start to dip anything significant, you can expect that demand to hit the market and put pressure on pricing. And that pressure will be upwards pressure. So if you were to buy today as a buyer and you get 7 or 7.5 or 8 or whatever the rate is, and then rates came down, I think it's very, very much a safe assumption that your price will go up. So let's use that $500,000 example. You buy today with a 7.25% interest rate. That's what it is right now. It's November 6th while I'm recording this. You buy today with a 7.25% interest rate, and let's say rates go down to 6. That's going to likely put upward pressure on pricing. And if they did come down, you do have the opportunity to pursue a refinance. You need to make sure you're obviously you have a job and you have enough equity to be able to do that. So pricing would have to go up. But if pricing went up, let's say 10%, if rates came down 1.5%, that's a $50,000 upswing, whereas a refinance might cost you $5,000 to $10,000. So these are things you can talk about with a real estate professional, or you can talk about it with a lending professional. We'd love to set you up and kind of get you an idea of what some of these costs are. My favorite thing to rely on is don't time the market. I've seen so many people who have tried to time the market and they've lost. So how do you not time the market? Well, you answer 2 questions. Do I have a good enough reason to buy or sell? If that answer is yes, then you need to answer the second question, which is, can I afford it? So if I have a good enough reason and I can afford it, then I just need to buy or sell with confidence and not worry about what the market's going to do, because timing the market's a fool's errand. So thank you guys so much for checking this video out. I hope you guys have, taken away a couple of things on what's happening in the market here. If you have questions, you can always reach out, and have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. We'll see you next month.